welcome to the Courage to Rise show. We have an incredible guest here, which is Melissa Wolf. So welcome. Melissa.
Hi.
Hi. Melissa is a behavioral transformational and high performance wellness coach, and you're an expert on mind-body management, which is really exciting. You're passionate about helping ambitious and high-performing individuals and developing healthy, sustainable behaviors that will lead to meaningful business and balanced lifestyle. So she's also licensed and award-winning school psychologist. I'm really excited to hear more about that.
Okay.
And you have some additional certifications in fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
So, and many, many more. So we'll definitely get into all of that. And I'm excited to hear more about what you've been up to and also hear how you got started. So you started as a school psychologist, and then some things happened along the way. So I want to hear how you started, where you were, and then how you got to where you are now, if you can share that.
Yeah. So it's been an incredible journey. I actually love speaking about this because it's just such a great way to reflect on the possibilities that you can create in your life. And yeah, so basically that's how I started. My career was working as a school psychologist in a school environment for about 8 years and getting experience with all different age groups and working with children up to the age of 21. And then I also had this passion and purpose and drive towards creating holistic wellness programs for people. And it's not just about the mind, but it's also about the body and working on your mind and body simultaneously to get you your best results possible in your life, personally and professionally. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm meant to do more with this. There is a reason why all of this stuff is starting to come into my life and why I'm so passionate about it. And if I could create a program for people where they can easily access not only the mental and emotional high performance self-care practices, but also physical as well and spiritual, that they can really get to those next levels of success in their life, whatever it is, you know, personal goals, professional goals, and really do it from a place of authenticity and joy. And what's really important to me is that I was doing so much. I was doing all of the things, doing, going, trying to create this, and realized that I was completely burning myself out and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't enjoying the journey. And it wasn't until I really started to work on my leadership skills and realized that it's not just about doing, but it's also about who I'm being to create what I really truly want to create that aligns with my vision. Is that's when everything really started to come together. And that's how I was able to create this holistic coaching business that I have called Balance.
Oh, that's wonderful. So did you have something happen in your life at some point where you went on this journey to discover this? Because, you know, I'm also a licensed clinical social worker, and you know, we talk a lot about the mind, a little bit about the body, and just a little bit about spirit. But what I've found is that the spiritual component is so important. But there's also the body. We can't have it just be the mind. It needs to be holistic, mind, body, spirit. So was there something that happened in your life that brought you to that realization personally? And then how do you use that in your own practice to kind of help others go through the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was about that point in my career where it was me just going through the motions. I was super robotic. I was very emotionally detached from what I was doing day to day, and it was more about the doing for me. It was just I was just doing.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it. I'm good at doing things. I'm good at getting things done. Like so many high performers. That's why we achieve what we can achieve, is because we are really good at doing things and getting things done. And it's not just about that. It's about who you're being. And I didn't know who I was. Even though I was successful on paper, I was losing my identity and losing that connection that's so important to me uh, in my career. And that was like a big wake up call for me, was that I was so exhausted, was working 60, 70 hours a week, because that was the only way that I thought I could be successful. It's like, you get to run yourself into the ground so that you can get to this point. And then once you get to this point, then you're going to be successful. And it never happened that way. It was just a never ending cycle. And I was driving to work and I was exhausted, and I ended up falling asleep while I was driving.
Oh, wow. That's
And
scary.
I went off the side of the road and went right into a ditch, and I woke up. But that was like the big wake up call for me, was that, I can't keep doing this to myself. For what?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot more that I get to create, and do it from a place of love and well-being, rather than doing it from a place where I was feeling like scarcity and overwhelmed. So
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, that would definitely be a wake up call,
yeah.
being on this side of that. And you were okay? I mean, were you fine or?
Yeah, I was fine. I was just fine. I just drifted off to the side of the road, and you know, went in the ditch, and luckily I was able to get myself self out. I didn't have to call a tow truck or anything, but it was just this realization that there's so much more there was so much more to my life, that it was just a big wake up call for me to start doing more things that I enjoy, and bringing that more into my life, rather than just constantly doing, and thinking that that's what was going to fulfill me. So that's when I started to brainstorm, and was like, you know what, I'm going to go off on my own, and create this holistic wellness platform, so that people can do what they love, but essentially, love themselves in the process as well. So
That's true. So I hear a lot of people talk about balance. Balance. I want to feel balanced.
yeah.
You talk about doing, and that's true. A lot of us are doing, especially if some of you have, some of us, I'm a parent, single parent, and there's a lot of us that are just, working, and then we have our personal lives. And if you have a family, that adds another layer of extra doing. And so
Mhm.
how do you balance your life? And we talk about that, but then it's like, how do you do this? How do you balance?
Yeah. And it's like, I always say to my clients, like, yes, my business is called Balance, but it's more so about, it's a lifestyle, it's a practice, it's something that you get to cultivate every day, and it's going to look different every day. I mean, some days you're going to have time where you can practice self-care, and then some days you're going to be on the go for 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
Some days your meals are going to look like a little bit different, and it's about having compassion for yourself, and really finding that sweet spot for you and your family, and knowing what it is that you get to hold on to, and what it is that you get to let go of day in and day out, just to create this beautiful dance in your life. And when we really take on that type of mentality, where we know that it's a consistent practice, it's a lifestyle, it's not, balance is never an outcome. I
Mm.
mean, I that's what I teach my clients, is that it's never going to be an outcome. It's about this beautiful dance that you get to create, and knowing when there's times in your life where you really get to put in a lot of effort and push yourself, but then also creating that space in your life where you get to take a step back, surrender, enjoy. And it's that consistent practice, and that sweet spot that you create, that allows you to get to those next levels of success in your life, but also feel good about yourself while you're doing it, and you're not coming from this place of overwhelm and burnout and stress.
Mhm.
So I think balance, I mean, it is a myth. It's more so a practice, and a way of living your life.
Mhm. So how do you set that up? I mean, I know that it's from my own experience, I struggle with it. And then when you have people asking you for things, right? How do you set boundaries?
Ah,
When boundaries, is that a part of it? would you say?
Heck
Would
yeah.
you say boundaries?
Yeah.
And how to know
Yeah.
when to say yes, when to say no, how to
Yes.
prioritize. Yeah.
Boundaries is huge. Boundaries is a huge component of creating this balance in your life, this ongoing balance. Or, you can even interchange it with, high performance. High performers, they all have this in common. They really know and understand the importance of setting boundaries in their lives. And boundaries aren't meant to be aggressive or tell people what to do. Boundaries are more so just a way for you to teach others what you tolerate and what you don't,
Mhm.
and it's honoring yourself. Boundaries are about honoring yourself and honoring, it's a form of deeper level self-care. But the only way that boundaries are going to be effective and work is you get to be consistent with putting them into practice, because the only way that people are going to understand what it is that you want and what it is that you don't want is if you are consistent and consistently reinforcing those boundaries. And there's a lot of, Kate, there are a lot of emotions that come up when we set boundaries with people,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there are. Yeah, I mean, you have people that will
Yeah.
really push you and say, "Oh, come on, I really need this." Or you have that friend that you really care about who's going through a tough time, and they're wanting to talk to you about their issue for an hour or two. Sometimes it's literally 2 hours, and you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'd love to be here for you, but I also have these
Mhm.
other things that I need to take care of myself." So it's like putting the oxygen mask on
Mhm.
yourself before you put it on someone else,
Yeah.
because you really can't be
Yeah.
there for them, and
And
that's
you really can't support others from a depleted, you can't support others from depletion. It's more so about pouring from that overflowing, overfilling cup. So, and those visuals are just super, super helpful and really important. And boundaries are also very, um, they allow you. They are a sort of protection, to protect your joy and happiness. And you were just saying that too. So that's what boundaries really are meant for, to protect your joy and happiness. So those are just some great ways. Those are some great questions that you get to ask yourself when you're going to set a boundary, whether it's with colleagues, whether it's with a friend or a family member, is that, is this boundary that I'm going to put in place protecting my joy and happiness? And if yes, then it's something to get curious about and explore a little deeper. And how do you implement the boundary, and how do you communicate the boundary to people in a way so that it's empowering you, but it's also empowering them? And once you learn how to properly establish boundaries in your life, it just creates a deeper connection with that person too, because there's a level of respect there.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and how does that help with your relationships, like developing your relationships when you're able to set boundaries? Because I imagine that can also help your relationship with that other person.
Absolutely. It's about, there's this fine line. This is something that I also love to talk about too with my clients, is there is a fine line between giving and sacrificing. And setting boundaries really helps with that, is because a lot of us high performers were very ambitious, driven, generous, generous people. We love to give and support and serve others. But there comes a point where we're giving, giving, giving to the point of sacrificing. And that's where that burnout starts to settle in. And when we start to feel super depleted, physically and emotionally. And boundaries really help you to stay in that giving mode that's healthy, that's enjoyable, that lifts you up but also lifts that other person up. It creates that high vibe energy. But if you're giving from a place of um like, what's the word I'm looking for, you're giving from a place of more so like sacrifice, like you really want to support the person,
Mm-hmm.
but that at that moment you're really not 100% able to authentically give to them. You're giving from a place of sacrifice. Then it just totally takes on a different feeling and vibe and energy. And people pick up on that. They pick up on that inauthenticity when you're actually coming from a place of true giving rather than giving because you're, sacrificing.
Yeah, it's
So,
like that obligation
yeah.
sometimes, and then it turns into resentment, and
Yes,
then it just goes.
yes,
And then, yeah,
absolutely.
and then it's just you feel depleted, and so then you really can't offer yourself. But not only for that, like helping with your relationships, but then even in your work or what you're really
Mhm.
passionate about.
Yeah,
I imagine that really affects your performance when you're
yes,
spread so thin. Um,
absolutely.
right? Okay.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what would you say are the secrets? I mean, boundaries obviously, it sounds like, is part of that. What are the secrets of high performance? What are other things that actually can help someone become the best performer possible?
Yeah, there's so many different habits that high performers have in common, and setting healthy boundaries is definitely one of them. Another thing that high performers have in common is they are really good with time management and knowing, you know, what they get to focus on. It's a focus thing. It's about prioritizing and focusing and not, doing five things at once. And society has really shown us that, to get to those next levels, it's all about multitasking and taking on multiple things at once and juggling and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's actually not true. Most high performers, the reason why they are so successful is because they prioritize and they focus on one thing at a time, and they focus on that thing until it's completed. And that completion energy is so motivating that it moves the needle forward, and then they go to the next step. And it's this domino effect that they create in their life. So all high performers create plans in their life. You can't get to those next levels without some sort of plan. And then you get to take committed action. So
Mhm.
when you're really wanting something in your life, personally or professionally, and you set a goal, it's all about creating a plan and taking committed action around that plan. But the plan is broken up. The plan is broken up into different steps, and you focus on one step at a time, and eventually everything, comes together. But I don't know about you, but when I focus on one step at a time, I'm less stressed.
Mhm.
I'm more empowered. I My confidence levels go up because I'm actually finishing something that I start.
Mhm.
Because how many of you
Right.
out there, don't finish what you start?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, and then also if you're a high achiever, perfectionism is a big part,
Mm,
right? It's like, "Oh, I want this to be perfect," and
yeah.
then it just becomes so stressful, so you take a break from it, go to do something else, and then you don't end up finishing anything. You're just
Right.
left with a bunch of unfinished work, and then you feel overwhelmed, and then you feel stressed, and then you just you start over again with the
Yeah.
same pattern.
Yeah.
So,
It's a bunch of half projects,
yeah.
and it's a cyclical pattern, and it's really about getting to those root causes of what's happening, what thoughts are going through your head when you're in that paralysis of not being able to finish what you start, or that perfectionism or people pleasing. And
Mhm.
really it's just about, especially if you're starting off in a business or you're making a career change or a transition, it's more so about knowing and understanding what you value and what your vision is first and foremost, because that creates that beautiful foundation for you, so that when you do come up against moments where perfectionism takes over or people pleasing takes over, you remind yourself of your vision, you
Mhm.
remind yourself of your values, you remind yourself of those boundaries that you have in place, and it can really help shift you back and course correct you, to get you to keep, moving forward. Because if you're not moving, you're not getting to that end goal. So
Yeah. So what kind of secrets or tips do you have for people who have a really busy life? They have all of these, they have a vision of what they want to do, but what are some secrets that you have in how to prioritize? Like, do you have a system that you use specifically, like actual something that you use to manage, okay, what's my priority? I mean, sometimes you can have multiple priorities. And so how do you
Yeah.
know which one is the most important and what needs to be done first?
Yeah, it's all about kind of strategizing. I love doing this. So I'm a huge, I'm a visual person.
Mhm.
So, and I also love the aspect of community and connecting with like-minded individuals. And we talk about this with each other. We talk about each other's priorities and come up with a game plan together. So I'm not doing it alone. And I think there's so much value in having a tribe or a team of people that can really help you to stay accountable and to keep the needle moving forward in the direction that you want to go. So I have a community, I have a team, and then I also love writing things down and having it on paper so that I see it, because that keeps me focused as well. And honestly, I just write down all of the things that for the week. So I'll write down all of the things that I want to accomplish for the week. I'll do like a professional, sometimes I'll split it down the middle. So I'll do professional and then I'll do personal.
Mhm.
Um, and then I really prioritize and then I kind of funnel it down into like the end weekly goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, it's so interesting to do this exercise because when you're writing down the things that you want to get done or prioritize, some of the stuff that you think is super, super important,
Mhm.
when you're looking at the other things,
Yeah.
they're really not necessary. So it really helps you to really narrow in on those things that are really going to move that end goal, move you closer to that end goal. And
Mhm.
then those are the things that I really focus on first.
Okay, great. And can you talk about what you do or what you like secrets that you have about your nutrition? Because that's a big part of it too, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
not just only managing your time, but also how do you have more energy
yeah,
to get through the day with
yes.
all the things that you want to do. So nutrition's a part of that. Do you want to talk about
Oh, yeah.
that?
Nutrition is a huge component of my lifestyle and also what I offer with my programming for my clients. And it's just another high performance habit, and it's energy.
Mhm.
If you are going to get to those next levels of success in your life and do it from a place of authentic joy and well-being, nutrition is one of the biggest components because how are you nourishing your body
Mhm.
and really going deeper into what how am I fueling my body to perform, and just getting curious about yourself in terms of the how your body's reacting to certain foods. And it's so easy for us. We're so busy and we're on the go. It's so easy for us just to go through a drive-through. It's so easy for us just to buy processed foods that are prepackaged because it's quick and it's easy. And I totally, totally understand that. But just being organized and prioritizing and maybe prepping healthy meals throughout the week for yourself that are already done for you so that during the busy work week you just have fruits, cut up fruits to grab on your way out, vegetables, or making certain things ahead of time, so that you're making healthier choices. And it really does have a huge impact on your energy levels, your ability to focus, not the mental clarity that comes with a healthy, whole food, nutritious diet,
Mhm.
and just you know in terms of just stabilizing your blood sugar, if you really want to go into like the science behind it,
Yeah.
is just you're stabilizing your blood sugar by properly fueling your body so that you don't have those spikes and crashes throughout the day. Because when you eat something that's super carb heavy, like just think about Thanksgiving. That's like a
Yeah.
perfect
So
example. After you eat a big Thanksgiving meal, what generally happens after? You fall asleep.
fall asleep, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And you're
tired.
not motivated,
No.
you know. And that's one of the big things too with high performers is they have this constant motivation, internal motivation. And a lot of it has to do with how we're fueling our bodies, and all of this stuff, the mental, the emotional, the physical wellness components, they all reinforce each other. So if you're going to be a high performer, you get to learn how to maintain your energy levels, and it's about nutrition, it's about sleeping,
That's a
because
big
that's
part.
another,
Yeah.
that's a
Can you
big
talk a
one.
little bit about that? Because sleep
Yeah,
is hard. I mean, especially as a parent. I mean, I'm a parent. I'm a little bit easier now. He's 10, but when he was a baby,
yeah,
that was a struggle. And then
yeah.
working full time. But even if you don't have, that responsibility, it's, how do you manage that when you have so many things that you want to do, but sleep is such a big component of that self-care.
Yeah, sleep is probably one of the biggest
Mhm.
components to focus on, as well as your nutrition and hydrating properly too. That's
Yeah.
another one. But with sleep, honestly, it's about just scheduling it in. It's a non-negotiable, and creating practices, wellness practices in your life to really help you to have a better night's sleep, whether it's shutting down the computer and the phone at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, getting off of the screens at a decent hour so that your body can start to get to actually relax and get into that restful state. Meditation at night before you go to bed, certain drinking certain teas at night before you go to sleep to just calm you down, essential oils, and just again just being really consistent with this nighttime routine will definitely get you more restful uh, and better sleep. And when you are more rested and you're actually getting solid sleep, sometimes it's not necessarily the amount of sleep you get, but it's the quality of sleep that you're
True.
getting.
Yeah, quality sleep. How do you get quality sleep? Is there anything that you do before you go to bed? I mean, is there like a routine that if you feel like if you want to share,
Yeah,
like what
sure.
do you do that kind of helps you get that quality sleep?
Yeah. So I really try to get off of my phone and the computer at least like a couple hours before I go to sleep. And I love to journal. So I always will either read something, like read something that's really calming or soothing, or journal and just write down my things that happened during my day, or just like really reflect. And gratitude is a huge thing that really helps me to just like settle into a nice restful sleep. And honestly, it's hydration too, and making sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day. And some people have diffusers on their nightstands, and they'll put like lavender and just like really chamomile, and or drink tea. So sometimes I do that as well. Um, but honestly, it's more so about just like calming your body down, and the biggest thing for me is getting off of my phone.
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? So many people are on their phone throughout the day, and then when you go to bed, you're looking at your phone thinking, oh, if you get on Facebook or Instagram, or you're going through your emails, and then your mind just starts going. I mean, it doesn't shut off. In
Hmm.
fact, it makes it you more stimulated, which is,
Hmm.
it's hard. You start thinking about, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that, and then your mind can start spinning, and then
Yes,
you don't get sleep. You don't get quality sleep. If you do finally go to sleep, it's not quality because you haven't synced with your body, yeah, your mind and your body.
yeah. And another big thing too with getting quality sleep is the importance of exercise and making sure you're incorporating movement into your week.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, even if it's
that's
just
right.
going for a long walk. Like some nights, if it's nice out after dinner, I love going for a long walk. It's so soothing and peaceful, and it really gets me into that relaxed state. Or even like tonight, I go to yoga. So, a really nice yoga practice can really help to relax the mind and the body. And I have a more restful quality sleep too. So, movement is super important. It doesn't matter what type of movement, it doesn't matter how much, like, how intense the movement is, but just making sure that you are moving your body throughout the week as well helps with sleep too. So,
Yeah, that's true. So you talk about radical self-care, or you
yeah.
have this kind of idea of radical self-care. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that and how, people can incorporate that into their lives?
Yeah. So when I say radical self-care, it's not like the surface level. It goes so much deeper than that. And it's exactly what we're talking about is it's about creating a practice for yourself. And it's about really getting to the root. That's why it's so radical, is because it's like if we're not really understanding, why we're engaging in certain behaviors, or what the function of our behaviors are, then how are we really going to create that transformation or get to those next levels of success in our life? So radical self-care is about digging deep, deep
Mhm.
into yourself, deep into your thoughts, deep into, how your thoughts affect your behaviors, and how your behaviors affect your actions and the goals that you have, whether you're hitting them or you're not, and just going deeper into that, asking yourself questions, um, learning more about who you are, and what lights you up, and what it is that you really really want out of life. And for so long I wasn't even doing that. I was just kind of going through the motions, or just doing what I thought I was supposed to do based on, what other people expected of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started practicing, like, the radical self-care and the personal development. There's so much to be said about leadership, and understanding the importance of self leadership, and just understanding how you operate as a person, learning more about your personality, really understanding, are your actions that you're taking more so about your ego,
Yeah. That's a big part.
than, really authentically in alignment to who you are. So,
Yeah. So, and that's a big part of spirituality. I mean, some people think of spirituality as religious, but that's just like a small part of it if you are even religious. But
yeah,
it's like how do you nourish your soul, your spirit, I mean, getting a little bit deeper than just what's on the surface, like what you're thinking, what your thoughts are. I mean, it sounds like that's what you're talking about, is like really nourishing your soul so that
yeah,
you feel vibrant and alive and have a meaning and purpose in life, and you're not just going through the motions.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we get so society really, um it distorts things for a lot of us. It's just we are so driven by external rewards, and being validated externally rather than looking within. And when we really start to pay attention and look within, I mean, that's what really can give us the clear cut answers that we've been looking for in terms of where we want to go in our lives personally and professionally. And it's just, society's noisy. So it's like learning how to cut through that noise.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. I mean, there's so much coming at you from all
yeah,
angles. So yeah, it's just
yeah.
managing,
And
right? How,
sometimes, yeah, it's
go ahead.
information overload.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
Mhm.
And how do you know what your like you said, like, how do you know what your priorities are if you don't even know yourself? If you don't even know
Right,
what's important to you? So that is
right.
almost like where you start, is to say, okay, what are my values? What's important to me? And then, okay, now I can look at what my priorities are. So,
Yeah,
and I love how you have this holistic perspective, because that really is the secret or the key to, to have balance and have joy in your life, is being able to have that holistic perspective, but also just treating your body, your mind, body, and your soul.
yeah. It's just, I think that more and more companies and businesses really need to incorporate this work into professional development even,
Mhm.
because it really makes a huge difference when it comes to morale, performance,
Mhm.
connection with your, colleagues, cooperativity. I don't even know if that's a word. Just being like working together as a collective unit, and really, um, there's so many companies out there that create amazing results, and most of these companies have a wellness component that they offer to their clients, and understand the importance of self-care, and and make it accessible, because I think that a lot of us know the importance of self-care, but we don't know where to start. We're overwhelmed by it because of that. There's so much information coming at you, and you think, oh, well, my friend did this, so if I do this, then I'll get those results too. And it's not necessarily true. Um,
It's true.
so
Because we're all different. We're all unique. We all have
yeah,
different values and priorities. They're all different, which is
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
It's just figuring that out. And that's what you help people do, which
Mhm.
is amazing. I mean, what a gift. What a gift that you're able to offer this, and to so many people too, because you have a group. How would people connect with you and your group that you have? You have a Facebook group?
Oh yeah, so I have Instagram. Instagram's at Balance HWDE, and then I have a business Facebook page, Balance Health and Wellness Melissa Wolf, and then I also have a private group called Light Your Fire, and I have an online training series, Light Your Fire, and it's all about learning how to manage your mind so that you can connect, lead, and perform with greater joy and success. And this is a private group, so you just you click on it, and you get accepted in, and we do a lot of laser coaching in there and specific training. And then, obviously there's opportunity to work with me one-on-one as your coach, and we go really in depth with the goals that you have for yourself personally and professionally, and just really create this holistic approach to high performance, to make sure that you are properly taking care of yourself, so that getting to those next levels is easier and fun, and really aligns to who you are. So
That's great. And you have a wonderful, amazing gift. So
I
really generous
do.
gift that you want to offer.
Yeah, yeah. So the gift that I'm offering today is my stress management and self-care e-guide. And it's really about just getting your brain to start to those wheels start to turn about how you can better take care of yourself in your life. Meaning, because you really know, if you start to look within, you know what area of your life is lacking, whether it's the physical part of it, mental, emotional part of it, relationships, that connection piece. So this e-guide really helps, give you a lot of ideas and how to start incorporating this into your routine. And it's about giving back to yourself, because when you really give back to yourself and honor yourself, you're doing everybody um, a favor, because you're showing up as your best self.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so true. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and all of, these wonderful tips that you have. I know people are going to really enjoy that self-care guide, because it really comes down to like sitting down and actually, connecting with what you said, like your priorities, and making sure that you prioritize yourself first.
Yeah, and imagine if you start to really do this in your life, where you learn how to, live the lifestyle that you're living right now, and get to practice radical self-care. And it's about the mentality and the understanding that you get to have both. And that's where, I come in, and I just show you how you get to have both. So, and it's about managing your mind, and just getting really clear on your goals and your vision and your values and everything that we just discussed. So when they sign up for the free gift, the first 10 people also win a free session, 30-minute goal setting session with me too, but only for 10 people. So, because my calendar gets full. But yeah, so I wanted to offer that as well.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
yeah.
I might be
Yeah.
one of your first 10.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
I'll just, yeah, I'm excited to be a part of your group. Yeah, I love what you're doing.
Yeah, we've got an amazing group of high performing people that are just here to support you and really get you to engage in these practices that allow you to show up as your best self, and the results that you get to create when you are coming from a place of being, and also doing the work and taking committed action. The results that you create are incredible, extraordinary. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, you can tell just by your smile, your spirit, that you're really living in joy and being. And
Yes.
so you are actually living what you're teaching. You're actually being what you're teaching, which is really incredible. So
Thank you.
thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon in the Facebook group.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.